Hello pals, welcome back to my channel. I nearly blacked out what I was supposed to say in the intro. Hi, how are we doing? Today I've got a fun little tag video for you. I was tagged by my friend Nat, so thank you. I have talked about D&D on my channel enough that I'm getting recognized for it as somebody who has also never played it. It's a time, but Nat tagged me in the Dungeons and Dragons booked tag. This tag was created by Jem over at The Creepy Geek and Ashley at Ashley Absurd, and I'm gonna be answering the questions today. If I will leave the creators tagged, and I will also link Natalie's video so you can go watch her and see her answers. But I'm gonna give you a quick little rundown of mine. I will say this was a bit harder than I thought it was going to be. The first question is, everyone's dead, a character with a tragic backstory, and I have a few options. So the first thing that came to mind was The Cruel Prince by Holly Black, because in this we are following Jude, who literally practically watches her parents get murdered and then is kidnapped by her, I guess you could call him stepdad, but not really, her half-siblings, Fae dad, and they get taken to the Fae world where they live a really hard human life among Fae who are ruthless and cunning and just not very nice, especially to mere mortals. But oh god, I love this series so much. I think it's incredible. I love Jude and Carden so much. I genuinely can't wait to read this again, and probably again. It's just one of those staple stories of a girl finding her power in the world when she's said to have none, and making an impact on everything around her. And I just really enjoyed this. And then again, you've got Carden, who is the Cruel Prince. He is Fae. He is so mean to Jude, and I just also such a simp, and I love them. But the other book that came to mind was a book that I actually did not enjoy but is very popular by the masses, which is Daughter of No World. It's the first book in her trilogy written by Carissa Broadbent. I liked Serpent in the Wings of Night, and I guess you could also say that she has a tragic backstory, but honestly, show me a character who doesn't. I'll wait. But I did not really enjoy the story, but it does start off with our main character, whose name I've completely forgotten. She's escaping being a slave, and so she's had a hard life, falls in love with the only nice man in the entire story because everybody else is so horrible and he's not even that great. I said it. But another book that I thought about that I actually do love and enjoy is Iron Widow, and I don't remember as many specifics about this now that it's been a while since I've read it, but the sequel should be coming out this year, and if it's not, I'll cry, but I'm looking forward to it. But Iron Widow is following a young girl who decides to join as a pilot, which is a very dystopian part of this world where basically you get matched with a test to be paired with a boy, man, whatever you wish to call them, and they basically use the female's life force to pilot. It's not great. It doesn't look good for everybody, but she is kind of the special chosen one. She is brighter and just a little bit more smart and just figuring things out in the world, but also a little bit of a tragic backstory. It's not too terrible. Definitely YA, so it's a little bit easier to digest, but I'm going to hopefully be rereading this before the sequel comes out, and I'm so excited. So the next is Roll Persuasion With Advantage, who is an auto-buy author, and I brought out the big boys for this. Oh goodness. Can I? Aaron A. Craig, of course. Absolutely 100,000%. I freaking love this author. All started when I picked up House of Salt and Sorrow when I was getting back into reading because of the Buzzwordathon reading challenge, and I just love the vibes. The atmosphere of this book are so incredible, and I like the romance, I'll say it. And then, we follow it by a whole small village story, which I tabbed, and I really like this vibe too. I just love her writing. It's whimsical and gritty, and just, it does everything that I need it to do. I have 2 copies of the House of Roots and Ruin, which is the sequel. The first pre-order that I did for 2024 was The 13th Child, which is Aaron A. Craig's newest release. The second I'm able to get the 2025 release pre-ordered. You know I will. I'm just such a big fan. I'm guaranteed a good time. I've never given one of the books lower than, I think, like a 4.5. All of them are highly rated. They're just worlds that I just devour. I love being in them. They're such good times for me. And anytime people don't like it, I feel bad. It's not slander per se, but I do feel sad that people don't love the books as much as I do. The next is Me and the Boys Gonna Mess You Up, and that is an ensemble cast you love. Now, I'm gonna say some books, and they're all kind of similar. If you've read them, you'll know. I love these books so much. They're all 5 stars. I love them all so much. So we've got To Kill a Shadow by Catherine Quinn. Impeccable, so fun, so fresh. I say so fresh. These books are all the same setup, but it's a setup that I love and works so well for me. You've got the girl joining the warriors, army, whatever it is, in their little fantasy world, and she gets paired up with the 2 or 3 outcast boys who, you know, fight alongside her and have her back through it all, even if a lot of the other boys are misogynistic. But then we've got The Empire of Dreams by Ray Carson, and this is the 4th book in a series, but it's a standalone in the series. I haven't read what is it, Girls of Fire and something? I haven't read it yet. I would really love to, but this is set in that world, and I guess you see some characters, but I, you know, had no context, and I really enjoyed both of these so much. This is the first in a YA series, and then of course the last one is Blood and Steel by Helen Schaefer. Oh my god, if you know, you know. The series came to an end this year, but this was one of my favorite romantasy binges that I've had all year. It's the one that really stands out to me. Me and my friend Eliza were just having a great time. It was so much fun. I had a blast, and so that definitely also falls into this category. The rest of the books are quite, like, different from the first book's vibes, of course. You get to see a lot more of the world, and you're introduced to a lot more, but the first book of these 3 are all similar in setup. And I just love all of the cast so much. I love strong boy and girl friendships where there's like no romance attached to it. It's just like a strong friendship. It's so good. Alright, the next question is, I rolled a 1. A character that tries their best but keeps failing. I had a hard time with this one. I wasn't sure what to say, but I've decided to go with Godkiller and Sunbringer, which is the sequel. I really enjoyed these books. I think that they're fun. I love God's meddling with everyday life, with people, having such a big impact on the world. I eat it up every time. These are all strong and unique characters in their own rights, but also, like, the world just keeps handing it to them beat after beat. They just are going through it. Okay, ma'am. They are just constantly going through it, and so that's why I kind of thought about it, even though, like, they are all so strong and they do so much badass stuff. It just, like, is one of the stories where it's like, oh, you just can't seem to win. Even in the, like, few high points, like, oh, the ending of this book was so good. Yeah, I'm a big fan. I know a lot of people don't enjoy this. It's a bit slower and a little dense. It's a lot of, like, world building, not so much like the sweet character moments, but I still just, like, love all of the characters. There's such great representation. This is how fantasies should be done. Like, it should be normal for characters to have disabilities, especially in, like, high fantasy worlds where, like, the things are often bad. It just makes sense. There's cute queer representation. I just love everybody. I love them all so much. They're just so good. I highly recommend it, okay? It might be a little slow or dense, but I really like it. Okay? And the next is To Tame The Floof, and it's a book with a dangerous creature that you would like as a pet. And honestly, I would originally say Tea Dragon Society, but those dragons are not dangerous creatures at all, so we have to go with, like, the next best thing, which is Fourth Wing. Sorry. Fourth Wing, you know, they've got dragons. They're dragon riders. That's what they do. I feel like I don't need to explain Fourth Wing to anybody. I'm feeling very Violet Sovereign Gale today, with, like, the braided hair, the black. I've got faux leather pants on, dagger earrings. I just feel very Violet today, and I'm kind of here for it. But anywho, she gets paired with a dragon or 2, maybe, and, you know, it's just she's friends with really cool badass dragons. They have like a telekinesis. Is that what it means when you can talk in each other's mind? I don't think so. Maybe they can speak in each other's minds though. They have like a bond. When a dragon dies, the writer dies. Like, it's a very spiritual kind of soul-bounding connection. But I just truly love the dragons in this. Like, they all have unique personalities. They're all fun. I think that it would be great to have a dragon to like fly me to work, but also like get the hell out of Dodge whenever I need. I'm into it. And I like dragons. I think Borswing is a fun book. Yes, it has its issues, but it was a phenomenon for a reason, and it was fun. It definitely was like turn your brain off and just like cry over character choice. Okay, number 6, the DM rolls unexpectedly. A book that surprised you. I had a really hard time answering this one. This isn't a question that I have on my like end of year list of like books that surprised you, and I'm always just like, I don't feel like I get super surprised unless there's a plot twist that like surprises me. But for this, I decided to go with This Is Where We Talk Things Out by Caitlin Marceau. I actually read this book last year and I really enjoyed it. I purchased it, I've sent it to my mom for her to read, and then I'll make my coworker read it. It's just one of those kind of novellas that like I'm just baffled. It's so good. It's all about daughter-mother relationships and it's wild. And it went places that I didn't think it would go. The ending was unexpected. It just, everything about it was so baffling, but so well crafted and engaging. And I love it so much. It's one of my favorite horror books. Plus it's a novella, so it's like super easy to recommend. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. And it surprised me because I didn't know what to expect when I went into it. Next is I Would Like to Rage. A character with anger issues. I don't know. You could say like it's a common thing in romantasy for the brooding male love interest to be like so mysterious and deep, but also dark and moody, and could definitely be seen as having anger issues because a lot of them are questionable at times. But nobody specifically comes to mind. There's not like one character where I'm just like, dang, why are you so mad? Like, it just, I don't know. So I don't have an answer. I'm sorry. The next would be Hip Thrust For Seduction, a spicy book. Honestly, any KU romantasy that I've read probably will check the box, but for this I will say Vows and Ruin. I know I've already talked about Blood and Steel, but I love Vows and Ruin so much. That's probably the spiciest of the 4 and definitely like the most hot and cold between the 2, but I love them both so much. Like, Thea and Wilder were just such fun characters to follow. Their chemistry was great. I actually enjoy the way that this author writes her spice. It doesn't make me want to cringe outside of my skin. So I would say Vows and Ruin would be my spicy book of choice. Okay, the next one is How Do You Want to Do This? A book with a satisfying ending. Truly, this one was so hard. I went through like years of Goodreads and I was just like, okay, I remember all of these endings, but they're all the endings that just absolutely enraged me because of what happens. And I could not go through and say, yeah, this felt good. These endings felt good. They make sense for the story. They work so well. The like shock that they bring you is an emotion on its own for sure. Definitely a lot of books that I can look at and remember those feelings, which is a great, like, good job to those authors. But when it comes to just like a satisfying, good, solid ending, I never get that from series, and I honestly can't think of many that I read that I was just like, yeah, and moving on. Like, it's either a dull ending and you're just like, okay, the story's over, great, moving on, or it's like a what the fuck just happened kind of ending. Like horror movie was that for me. Like, horror movie ended and I was like, I'm sorry? Oh, okay. But I will give an answer, which will be The Har. I really love this book. It's been pitched to be pretty like gorific, if you will, but I didn't think it was that bad. But I also might have just like spaced out how bad it was. But it's definitely more gore heavy horror than I typically would recommend on this channel, but it's so good. It's also a novella. It's incredible. I love the small Scottish town. I love the coastal atmosphere. I love Muriel. She's one of my favorite characters of this year, and the ending maybe might not be the most satisfying to some, but I truly just really enjoyed it. I thought that it worked. I thought that everything wrapped up beautifully. I did cry at the end, so I think that that marks a good ending for sure. But oh, what a good book. I highly recommend if you're getting into horror, if you like horror, if you don't mind watching gore movies, like, you might like it. It's kind of like a slasher, I guess you could compare. I'm so bad at like gauging horror for other people. I don't know if it's quite like as, I don't know. Anyway, that's my answer. The horror. Okay, next is to gather your party and tag 3 friends. I don't know who to tag. It's like the worst part about doing tags is like I love the community aspect. I love the way we can get people engaged, but at the same time I never know who to choose. I want to choose Rachel because I know she and I have bonded recently over our love of Dropout TV, which is where I get a lot of my Dungeons and Dragons content. I love them so much, all of them. I've seen almost every campaign. Currently watching a lot of Never Stop Blowing Up, which is the most recent D20. Incredible. I love watching Dungeons and Dragons. I've never played myself. That is maybe a goal of mine for next year, is to like find a community potentially online and start playing with people, because I think it'd be a lot of fun. But for now, I will just continue my rewatches of Death to Divinity and my re-listen of the podcast Dungeons Dice and Everything Nice, because those are my happy places. Whenever I get super depressed, those are all I'll do. So those are my recommendations. Dungeons, Dice, and Everything Nice did get canceled, so there's no like conclusion ending to it, but it's a whole lot of content, a bunch of college kids that go to comedy school playing, and it's fun, and I love it, and I love the people. Okay, Katie May is like one of my favorite DMs. That wasn't an answer to the question. I just started talking about D&D, sorry. Who else do I want to tag? I don't know, but I will leave 2 more people in the description of who I want to tag. That's it for this video though. I hope you enjoy these quick little tags. They're nice filler content when I'm working on like reading vlogs or just like a bit longer form content of sit down types. I hope you enjoyed this, but I will see you guys very soon. Bye!